Welcome to the Shannon Wheeler Podcast. After spending 30 years in the housing industry, I have come to understand that there are two things that I love to talk about. One of those is real estate, and the other one is people. And so this is a show that is going to focus on those two things. Real estate and all the things that go on in the real estate markets, because it's of a lot of interest to me, and people, because I've learned, if nothing else, over 30 years' time, that every business is truly a people business. Thank you for spending some time with us.
First of all, appreciate you coming in. You've got things to share. This is a show about real estate and people. That's what we talk about. And you've got a perspective on real estate that most don't, because most people don't deal in commercial building and all that stuff. They own their home and that's what they do. So you have a fascinating insight into our area. All the people are running for offices right now, and the things that they talk about are development and infrastructure. And you're actually a part of how this all takes shape. So take me back to 1992.
Okay.
Tell me about the beginning of Dow Smith, and then tell me what's something that you know today to be true that was true in 1992.
So I'm 26 years old, and in 1992, and riding around in a red Chevy S10 pickup truck, and man, there's so much I didn't know. Been in the workforce 3 or 4 years. So what? But I do like that question. What's still true today that's true then? Which really is a great question, because the answer to that is what are things, what's certain? Because right now, the big question word that's in my heart and mind is uncertainty, or dealing with uncertainty. So what is certain? And what's certain happened 10 years from now, which a great way to do that. Well, what was happening 10 years ago, or now 30-something years ago? And so things that are still that haven't changed since then is the relationship, that connection, that relationship. But I think what really makes relationships healthy is being authentic and being real. That's what makes so the answer is relationships. That hasn't changed, but what makes relationship meaningful, and those are the authentic relationships where we can be our true self, flaws and imperfections, as well as our gifts and talents.
Yeah, and being in that right room or in that right group, I mean, I think it can mean a lot. I mean, a lot of people, can understand sports analogies pretty easily. And I mean, you got that ball player that's makes the team and does well, but then they get to a different team with a different coach and maybe a different system. Maybe they're defensive minded. Maybe they play a different style. And all of a sudden that player hits heights they've never hit before. I mean, don't you think that's like a workplace?
And sometimes goes opposite as well, too. As well.
You can really lose talent.
You change the context. Some person was really doing well in one area, and you change it, and that goes, but there's just as many examples where they didn't do as well.
I didn't think about that now. Really, somebody coming in, they're on fire, they're going to change the world, and they get in the wrong environment.
Or the wrong context, or the wrong role. There's a change of role. There's a change of something that changed. And so, but let's go on the positive.
Yeah.
I do like that, staying on the positive, hence Trent,
Yeah.
spread the positive.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I'll tell you though, that's something I find fascinating. I think that having those real relationships, and something, when I went to the round table with Tony, one of the things we talked about is not really judging too much what's positive and negative. There's a plan in place, and if that person gets somewhere, I think it's incumbent upon us as employers to recognize that person is dropping down, and instead of assigning judgment, figure out how to help.
There's that as well too, and figuring out, has that person hit their ceiling or not?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that may be the key right there. Have they hit their? We all have limited capacity. We do.
Have you been in a situation where you saw somebody ceiling much higher than they saw for themselves?
See it very regular. Yeah.
Regular.
As far as people seeing themselves, yes. I feel like most people that I come across don't have their understanding of the ceiling is lower than what they see it themselves.
Wow.
So I see that very regular.
Wow.
Yes,
I bet
do.
that's one of the first things to try to do is get them to see their higher ceiling for themselves. I mean,
if we have the right influence and in the right position and all like that. But yeah, I see that all the time. And as being a leader, to me, this is about being a good servant leader. Is to recognize is this person at the right spot for them.
Yeah.
There's this, and a phrase I really love is bloom where you're planted.
Oh, I love that.
Bloom where you're planted.
Yeah.
And sometimes we do have to just totally uproot and start again. And those happen and we all come to that.
It's hard.
But
the
it works a whole
roots
lot
break
easier
and the dirt
better.
gets messed up, but you get going quicker where you're supposed to be.
Bloom where you're planted, play the cards that you're dealt, and try to make that a go. So recognizing one's capacity is and accepting that.
So how do you? So if somebody's out there and they're listening to this, they think to themselves, "Here's Dow. He's accomplished. He's got a lot of career milestones. He's business person of the year. There's all these things, and I'm sitting here trying to figure out how do I put my next 6 weeks together, or how do I, So for that person that's out there, and I'll tell you what makes me think of the story. I remember you saying something one time, and if I paraphrase and get it incorrect, clean me up. But it was basically this turning point in your business in which you went from low bid, hard bid to partnering in design build. And I think that the transition, what's important there that speaks to what's the same now as then is this idea of knowing where you can provide value.
That is the key.
And where you can provide value. There may be somebody that you stopped low bid, hard bid competing with that they went on to make $100 million doing that thing. We don't know that. So talk about understanding where you add value.
Well, there's 2 or 3 questions in there, Shannon. I'm trying to figure out which. I'm going to go one to the listener out there trying to figure out where do I need to fit in and all like that. My answer to that is which kind of goes to find your niche. When you find your niche, you can then really start creating value. But what I like is to find your niche, even if you're in business on your own or not, is find your unique ability. Find what you're especially good at. And whether that skill or gift is you're a team member employee over another company, or you can become an entrepreneur with that gift, or big corporate America, or whatever, but find your unique ability that you're the best at. So I felt led to say that out loud. But going back to that point of when I made the hard transition of being no longer trying to get a job by being the cheapest, really came from this seminar that I went to Jack Miller of explaining of how you do it, because I was on the very typical journey of that's how you got to survive. I realized I can't survive at that. So I learned that at the Jack Miller Network in October of 2001, right after 9/11. So I've been in business, whatever that math is, but enough to have paid the new person's price and realize, okay, I've got to make a change. There's got to be more intentional about marketing and sharing. This is what my value is. And that was just a simple message. I'm a commercial builder. I want to build your commercial buildings. I don't build homes, but if it's anything commercial, I want to help you with that.
Now, listen, this isn't on my list of questions that I had written up, so I'm going to throw a curveball in there. Just wondering, do you have any favorite projects? You put up so many beautiful.
That's like asking.
I know.
What's my favorite kid?
I know it.
What is my favorite child?
I understand.
And,
if you could give a top 3, then maybe you don't hurt feelings. But
no matter what. and I'll do that. But I do want to say all of our projects are very,
Sure.
very important.
Sure.
Each and every one of them. So grateful for.
Well, there could be times that something becomes that stands out to you, and it may not be anything, but hey, we overcame a steel shortage, or we overcame something to get the project done. Could be.
Well, I go. There's three that come to mind though, that
Okay.
just really
All right.
stand out. That this, and I'll go in chronological order.
Okay.
Building Bubba Woodfin's new funeral home when it burned down and got that. That was a huge moment for us.
Okay.
And that was very, very, very important. I'm actually going to name four.
Was it
But
big? It was big because it was the first job of that size
It
that
was
you
the first
got?
job of that size.
Well, somebody took a chance on you, and they at some point.
And when Bubba Woodfin just said, "Okay, I'm going to trust Dow," I knew. A lot of people say, "Well, Bubba can trust Dow, so can I."
So, how important is it in your life to try to figure out how to be the Bubba in that situation? Just as a side note, you want to be that person that somebody can say, "Hey, if Bubba says, then I trust that."
I guess when it comes to say that again, Shannon, help me out.
So, you should conduct your life in a way where you're that person where if somebody comes to you and asks, "Hey, can you trust Dow?" And if Bubba says you can. Well, you want to strive to be that person, the Bubba in that situation.
Well, when I think of the person like Bubba was one, it was like that, just so full of empathy and compassion. You know, when we have to go bury a loved one, we're in grieving, and Bubba can just sit very well with that family and give them guidance and here's
His
what you
special
need to do.
gift.
Very special, unique gift. Very special. I mean, and the Woodfin family is still, to in my mind, just giants in our community.
No,
And
they go to
Shannon-
First Pres and see him. I see him every Sunday.
yeah, and so, and Shannon, we all make so many decisions based on, hey, this person worked for me, and we just do it. And so the power of the reference, the power of the recommendation, is huge, beyond measure.
Truly beyond measure. Can't put a dollar on it.
Yep.
So first one, and that was kind of a arrival on the scene. And then what did we have?
And then the other one I want to mention was Roy Bowden, the Smyrna Bowling Center. That was a big job there. So frontage there on Sam Ridley Parkway, and people realized, oh, Dow can build big buildings. And so we got that one. And then when Mr. Sloan hired me in 2004 to make his 3 buildings one building,
Okay.
was a very huge project for us, because I knew if people think, well, if Mr. Sloan can trust Dow, we can trust Dow.
Again.
So, I mean, those are 2 pillars in our community right there. And then the other one is just, I'm so honored, was doing the renovation of the Peddler's interiors for Bill and Kathy Jones.
Yeah. Also First Pres. I see them every time. Yeah. What a beautiful job.
That is love that favorite type of job. Take an old building with a good set of bones and make it something new. I love that type of project. And then the people of Bill and Kathy Jones and all like that, I was so honored for them to select us.
So I'll tell you what I think about that. So when you come out of Stones River Country Club, it's right across the street. Okay, so what I think about that is when I'm coming down Broad Street and I'm headed into Murfreesboro, to me, with the country club there on your left, especially with everything that they've done, it's greening up and looking beautiful. With that project done there, to me, it sort of served as a little bit of a gateway.
It is a gateway.
And it changed your whole entry into the city of Murfreesboro. And if you could fast forward what's happening 30 years from now versus 30 years ago, you may at some point see the gates of Stone River and that be from there on into town look completely different. But anyway, that's what I thought. So beautiful job. I don't know if you'd ever gotten that feedback from just citizens, but just as a person transiting through there, that's what struck me, is it felt like a gateway.
Well, our architect did a wonderful job designing it. I love that whole project.
Yeah.
I really did. The people that we did it for, the end result, the service that they provide. So,
Okay, well, I'm not gonna make you. I'm
but I
not
want to
gonna
say again, all of our clients we love and they're grateful for
Yeah.
each and every one of them. We
Uncle
are.
Dow said I'm his favorite. Yeah. Okay, I won't make you picky anymore. But businesses, just like everything else, the services that you provide, the products that you use, all those things may change. I'm assuming since 1992, there's been a lot of that. But now your offerings as a company have expanded somewhat. So talk about that a little bit, because I think there's people that say Dow builds big buildings, Dow builds hospitals, Dow builds churches and veterinary hospitals, but I don't know about these other things. So what are some other things that Dow Smith Company does?
So we serve 3 markets.
Okay.
I'm going to say, and those 3 are a healthcare provider who's not attached to a hospital.
Okay.
So that would look like a dentist, an eye doctor, animal vet, general practice as well too. So anybody that's providing health care in their own facility, not attached to a hospital, we fit in very well with them.
Okay.
Then the other one is churches. Churches is its own unique context and everything on that.
Certain its own set of challenges.
Its
It's a unique inventory.
It's a
I
very
mean,
very unique. Love doing churches.
lending on churches is different. There's just different things.
There's a lot of correct, and a mix of, and each church is always different between the involvement of laity and clergy, and some are more clergy led, some are more laity led, some are more equal, but anyway, love doing churches, love doing healthcare. And the other we just go your general commercial, but that looks more like a business that has more than 10 employees, but no more than 50. Probably now less than 100. So it's a little bit bigger than the mom and pop in the small little office in the garage, but it's smaller than the big corporate. And it's usually quite often those businesses are multi-generational. We're dealing with the second, third, or fourth generation of those. Those are our 3 things. But also should add, we want to do small stuff.
Okay.
Really for anybody, but to those 3 markets, we're wanting to say, hey, if your toilet paper holder needs to be replaced, if your toilet partitions need to be redone or repaired, or you got door hardware or stuff like that, anything small, we want to get that call.
And so that's basically just an effort to say, hey, listen, we need to remember that we deliver the facility, but then we need to make sure they know we can deliver value to them all year round as that facility ages.
That's correct.
So on and so forth, changes. You said something about multi-generational. A big thing I've noticed lately is people, boomers selling businesses and those kinds of things. I bet you guys get a lot of calls. Hey, I'm buying the business from mom and dad, and now I want to take it to a whole nother level. So I need another warehouse. I mean, that's a change opportunity for y'all, right? To have a discussion about what do you see for the next 30 years?
Yeah, we're very much and need to. So yes, we do see that a lot, quite often, where the patriarch, matriarch, or the family is wanting to do less, and their kids are wanting to do more, and really love those conversations and just figure out, okay, what does this generation need to do going forward?
Yeah.
Whether it's stay here and renovate this, or should we move?
What strikes me, Dow, is a spec builder is going to build a certain number of homes, and they're going to put them out there for people to come and buy.
Right.
You partner with people.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yes.
And I'd imagine call Dow early, and I'll call it early. Earliest you can call it, probably the better. But it's a true partnership. But let's talk a little bit. With the time we got left, there's 2 things I really want to get into. And one of those is the Irresistible Workplace Initiative. For some reason, workforce jumps in my brain, but the Irresistible Workplace Initiative, you started that in the last couple of years. I've been to one of the preliminary meetings, and I've got some experience with some of the boards, but talk about why that's important. Why does that exist, and what are you trying to accomplish with that?
I love going to work. And the big reason is because I love the people that I work with and the environment and the context that I get to work with. And I want, and we want everybody to have that same experience where you look forward to going to work.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're trying to do. And then specifically, we want to have 1,000 members in 10 years that are trying to make their workplace a great place to be, where people look forward and I want to go to work because of the people that I see there and the service that we provide. That's what we're trying to do.
So you get small groups of people that are probably in that 5 to 50 category, a lot
Correct.
of them, I'd imagine. Now, I think there have been people in church bodies. There's any number of people
Correct.
that this can kind of apply to, but that's kind of the typical person. And then your thought is, if we can get those people to embrace these initiatives in their workplace,
Correct.
then they'll take it back,
Correct.
and they'll change that workplace.
And what we're doing, we're taking things that we have done at DSC that we have found that worked, of making better teams. And we deal with leadership, we deal with compensation, we deal with feedback. And Holly Potts has created this curriculum of what we have tried and true. These are not just theories. These are what we have done in our context, in delivering in a way where people can take that in their own work environment.
I love the fact that it is born of experience.
It's born from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah, so I do TEDx Murfreesboro, and so somebody was asking me about it, and they were like, well, why did Brene Brown's talk get 50 million views or whatever it is, and these others don't, when she says the same things? And I tell them it's because when she says that she's come to a conclusion from her clinical research, it's because she's done thousands of hours of clinical research, and she doesn't even have to tell you. You can just tell. And so the Irresistible Workforce Initiative, or Workplace Initiative, is like that. You can just tell and see it by its stripes when it shows up in another workplace.
Correct.
And it's earned over years of these strategies, because you learned pretty early on losing talent is way more expensive than investing in talent, I would imagine.
It is very much so. In facts and data prove that when you lose somebody, the cost of turnover is about twice their annual salary.
And that's just dollars. That doesn't take intellectual capital and just institutional knowledge. Like, all those things come into play big. Well, if somebody wants to find information about that, where do they go? They contact Holly.
I'm going to say, make it simple. Google IWI, Google Irresistible Workplace Initiative.
There you go. And Tony McConnell,
Holly Potts will be in touch with
Yeah,
you.
perfect. Okay, so I know that as a servant leader and as somebody who models themselves in that fashion, talking about Dow and what Dow's done is not going to be at the top of your list. So I'm going to do it for you. You recently won Business Person of the Year from our Chamber of Commerce. I know the people that have won that award, and they don't give it to just anyone. So congratulations. But in your speech, you essentially said that good business requires love.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard you talk about empathy and compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're a numbers guy, and Joey is a numbers guy, and he's a production guy, and everybody knows these things. And you guys are in a business that, gosh, you measure twice, you cut once, and everybody's watching every dollar and controlling these project costs. All of that has got a high level of competency and a lot of math and a lot of hard business. But what really actually makes all of that come together? And why is that the most important thing we should focus on?
Man, there's so many reasons, but I want to emphasize the word love. And what is love is a whole big, beyond understanding topic. I lead with my heart, and I try to get my head, my heart, my gut in line. That's when I know, okay, I'm in sync, that it matches with my head. and if it just feels right in my gut, they're all aligned. And I've just learned lead with my heart. Our heart does have this unique energy that's similar to our brain energy that has intelligence. That's not artificial, by the way. There's some genuine energy beyond pumping blood that comes from our heart, and that energy that we get from love is powerful. And in the business world, that power can convert to paying the bills and making some profit.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things that love can provide is a little bit of a bridge to hope, because you can't have fear and hope occupy the same space. You literally can't. Your faith and love are the bridges, right?
That's
So
correct.
you've got to get to where you understand truly those two can't exist. Fear and hope, they can't live in the same place.
Good point.
Love is a bridge.
Good point, Sam.
Well, listen, I'll tell you, as we were talking about the buildings that you built in the county and around, I was wondering how many people in Rutherford County have been in a Dow Smith facility and just don't even know it. Like if instantly everybody turned blue that's been and they look down, oh, I didn't know, would that be wild?
That'd be a big number.
We need to it'd be interesting to see on a map how many people have been in a church, a building, and don't even know it. But you made such a mark on our county, such an impact. We love that you grow your business here, and glad for you to come by and spend some time with us.
And I'm honored by your presence, your time, the invitation, your words. Thank you, Shannon.
Appreciate you. Keep leading with love.
Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate
Thank you,
it.
bro.
Yeah, thanks, man.
Thank you for spending some time with us.